Welcome to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a brand new show about labor and worker issues. The host of the show is Randy Corrigan, Secretary Treasurer and Principal Office and leader of Teamsters 1932, one of the largest public sector labor unions on the West Coast, representing workers in government and non-sworn law enforcement personnel. Randy Corrigan is a 30-year Teamster who first became involved in the labor movement by volunteering his time as an organizer with the Teamsters Union at the age of 21. Since then, he's helped thousands organize, mobilize, and achieve bargaining rights. He accomplished this by spending countless hours with brave men and women all over Southern California, in their living rooms, on the picket line, to bring workers towards victory. This is the Worker Power Hour. And now here's the host of the show, Randy Corrigan.
Good afternoon, everybody. Here we are, the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, longtime organizer, first-time radio host. I come running in the door here at the last minute. Traffic was terrible today. Mark, I was like, hey, you going to get me there or what? My car, I had to take it into the shop and get some work done to it, so I didn't have a vehicle. It's just one of those days where just running and gunning. So, Mark, I appreciate you getting me over here. Got some really good guests today. As we always start off our show, I'd like to talk about last week's show. Is actually the week before last. Last week we had to do a rerun because just had too much going on. And we'd actually had a big event planned for last week that we were going to do live from downtown LA. The government agency came around and actually agreed to do something, so we called off the live protest that we were going to do, and we postponed it for another day, so we may be doing a live event in the next few weeks, at least by June at some point. So the week before last show, just a quick recap of that. What an amazing group of workers that do the victim advocacy in the district attorney's office. That's we had a guest on here, and we had the really, I guess, the dog that was extremely well behaved. I know I had a number of people comment and text me about how I can't discipline my dog and get my dogs as well behaved as that dog was sitting in here. But in all serious note, it's pretty amazing how the dogs for that division of the district attorney's office really do a good job of helping victims through the things that they're going through. And it was really, really good to hear the stories of what that part of the workforce does in those areas, making sure that the victim advocacy and their needs are met while they go through a trial. I think it was phenomenal to hear, and it just, again, it's another one of those Teamster jobs and resources that come from the community that you don't realize exist until needed or until a loved one needs it. And so it was amazing to hear how the awareness around the subject came up, how long they've been doing the job, the things that they do to help comfort victims and making sure that they can get through the entire process and not just as they go through a trial, well beyond the trial ends and the residual effects of what they have to deal with into the future. So hats off to those people in the workforce that do work like that. It's incredible and it's amazing. Specifically the victim witness advocate group in the district attorney's office. And of course our shop steward was on here, Laura. She does an amazing job all the time at the bargaining table or wherever we're at. And for her energy to come in and the reason why we actually interviewed that job was because of Lori herself. So Ryan, she was the lady that was here during that interview. If you're listening, thank you very much. You did a great job. We really appreciate it. The other thing we're going to start doing is doing some shout outs to our live listeners everywhere. And we have a number of them in the city of Redlands that are listening. Daniel Marburger, Ruben Gallardo. And if I butcher names, feel free to send me a spicy email. Take a couple shots at me. I'm getting old, so I'm not as good as I used to be at pronouncing names. I actually used to be really good at pronouncing names, just not anymore. Nadal Rafidi is listening live, I hear, so go ahead and your little cheering section yourself. I got a caller. Yeah, we'll get to the caller here in a minute, right before I get into the news. Thanks for letting me know. The Sheriff's Criminal Intelligence Analysis Unit, Susan Loftus. Susan is she's an amazing person. She actually was a dispatcher for many years. Another incredible job. I don't know how. I just don't know how people do that job. Like, I would. I don't know. My frustration would get to me, and I'd probably lose my temper multiple times in the day if I had to try to manage through that. But Susan, always appreciate your energy as well. Thanks for listening in. Daniel and Eli, man, they're all the way out in Needles are listening. So we really appreciate them listening in. And we have promoting some new Teamster Advantage partners as well, Daniel and Eli, my bad. I read that wrong. Eli Salazar will be listening in from their unit as well. So again, shout out for all of you listening live. We really appreciate you coming together and listening to the Worker Power Hour. As you know, what we're doing is we're building out worker power on a large scale, and we're educating the community on how unions are beneficial to our community in addition to all the good things that we do on a daily basis. And we kind of get taken for granted, just like a lot of social services get taken for granted until you need it. In other words, like my favorite one is the water. Water doesn't just magically, you turn the faucet on, it magically comes out, you flush the toilet, it magically goes away. There's actually a whole bunch of people that make sure that happens correctly and that you don't die from it. Because as you've heard me say many times before, millions have died from bad water in our lifetimes, over the course of history. And in recent times, it's been a lot less because of a lot of good working people out there saving lives every single day. So we appreciate the work that everybody does in this space. So the 3 Teamster jobs I'm going to talk about today, some real fun ones. The first one is Altadena Dairies. Anytime you see Altadena, especially in Southern California, Altadena is a pretty famous, recognizable brand when it comes to milk and dairy products. Let me get a quick drink of water here. Sorry about that. Running and gunning today. I don't even think I've had a chance to eat yet. So, Altadena Dairy. Any major supermarket you shop in, you'll see the Altadena brand. Many people just know it's the sour cream, coffee creamers, milk, all that. Those are members out of Local 630 help produce that and also help deliver that. So good shout out. I actually was part of the Altadena Dairies when they organized, when they went from non-union to becoming union. They were actually non-union for many, many decades, and it wasn't until about 17 years ago or so that they had eventually organized. The next one may surprise you. It is Big 5 Sporting Goods. The Big 5 Sporting Goods distribution centers in Southern California are Teamsters. The stores aren't, but the distribution centers are. So if you're going to buy sporting goods, make sure you go to Big 5. Don't go to Dick's or any of the other ones that are these big ones. Teamsters are making sure that your sporting goods are getting to. And you know what I like about Big 5 is they actually give you a feeling of the old. Every town used to have a little sporting goods store in it when we were younger. For slipping the name of the one I had in Fontana. But they give you the feel of the old sporting goods store when we were in it, at least when we were kids, or when I was kid. I guess that was a long time ago. I'm an old guy now. I always trip out. I just don't feel like I'm the old guy, but I am. Just get over it, Randy. Anyway, Big 5, the warehouse workers at Big 5 are proud members of Teamsters Local 166 and 986. We really appreciate the work that they do, making sure that we get that product. The next one is Bimbo Bakeries. So when you get your Thomas English muffins or your Nature's Harvest bread, Oro wheat, all those products, those are all produced by union members. Some of the production is Teamster, some of the production is bakery, confectionery workers, and then the delivery side of all of it is all Teamsters. As a matter of fact, the bread industry is notorious for Teamster jobs for a very long period of time. They've done I used to remember as a kid going to the day old store. Now, obviously, we can talk about all the different stuff that's put in our product to make it last longer, which is probably not good for us. But what was the name of the little Hostess stores that you could go to? It's a Hostess store, right? The day old Hostess store. The Wonder Bread store. Yeah, no, not Wonder. It was where you got your ding dongs and your Twinkies and stuff, and they were day old. They were a couple days old. They were expired off the shelves of the supermarket, and then they went to the thrift store. It was a Hostess thrift store. That's what it was. It's a Hostess thrift store. those are all Teamster jobs, and actually at the thrift stores are Teamster jobs as well. So good shout out to them. Again, we want to make sure everybody understands that you have Teamster jobs everywhere, and making sure that you get your milk and you get your bread and your Big Five sporting goods and all the other cool jobs that we've talked about on a regular basis. So again, big shout out to Carlos Gonzalez for making sure that I have those for me every week. He does a great job of spreading them out and making sure that they're entertaining and interesting to listen to, and then it's just a lot of fun. So with that, I'll transition. Yes, I got 2 callers now. Okay, well. One is hospital, 2 is Amazon. Well, let's take the hospital real quick. You're live. You're live with Randy Corrigan. This is the Worker Power Hour. Someone from the hospital.
Hi, Randy. This is Krista from ARMC. I'm a steward in the kitchen.
Hey, you're listening live. I take it.
Yes, I am.
So I missed you on the shout out, right, Krista?
I just wanted to let you know that ARMC and our members did action today in support of Union Workers Day today, May Day. We had about 80 members come out and support May Day today, so I just wanted to shout out the members that came out at ARMC today.
So
and thanks to Barbara and Pete and Beth for showing up today as well.
Awesome. So for those of you who don't know what ARMC is, it's Arrowhead Regional Medical Center. It's the hospital there in Colton. It's a county hospital. Krista, thank you for calling in. Thank you for reminding us to do a shout out. There was an activity there today where a lot of members came out and obviously did some recognition of the great work that our Teamster members do there at the hospital. So thanks, Krista, for calling in, and absolutely thanks for all the work that you do at the hospital. Clearly, it's a life-saving job. And the cool thing is, later on in the hour, I'm going to have a couple nurses from the Children's Hospital, the Rady's Children's Hospital, on, and we're going to talk through some of the work that they do. We tried to get them at the studio itself, couldn't, but they'll be calling in later. So, Krista, I think we got to move on. But thanks for calling in, Krista.
Thank you, Randy. Have a great day.
You too. You've been a great steward. We really appreciate all the work that you do. The next caller, let's take that one. I'll just move to the news, and you're live on the air with the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan. Who are we talking to? You there? Maybe.
Yes. Hi. Sorry. I'm Cynthia with Inland Empire Amazon Workers United.
Oh, Cynthia, how are you?
I'm good on this fine May Day.
Okay, so on this May Day, which is a day for labor activists to get out and be excited and do things, thanks for calling in. Let me quickly read through the news that pertains to you, and really appreciate you calling in, and then we'll let you tell a little bit of your story. For those of you that don't know, workers at Amazon San Bernardino Air Hub are demanding compensation for missed rest breaks, which they claim violate California law requiring a 10-minute rest break after 10 hours of work. Over 55 workers marched on the boss on behalf of more than 500 of them, declaring that they demand that they get paid for their breaks. And so the Inland Empire Amazon Workers United Group, a worker organizing committee, has issued a 2-week ultimatum to the management to provide on the owed payments for these violations. Clearly, here in the Teamsters Union, we've been working very closely with Cynthia on the phone here and Inland Empire Amazon Workers United, and we really appreciate the work that they're doing. Worker testimonials highlighted a disconnect between Amazon's stated commitment to safety and actual working conditions. They described the lack of breaks are unsafe and disrespectful, and obviously they break the law. So, it's kind of amazing that a corporation of this size, that big and that successful, would be, just kind of running through breaks and not giving people their proper rest, especially in such a difficult job. So thanks for calling in, Cynthia. Why don't you just briefly tell us why you're calling in and what you have to say about this successful activity you just did?
Yeah, so just to reiterate why it's a safety issue. It's a safety issue because, like you said, we do a lot of physical and manual labor. Me and my partner, we are working with the aircraft, so we load and unload the aircraft. And me and my partner are usually rolling about 3,000 pounds of freight in our warehouse. And so that's already tiring enough. We do that for a majority of the day. And they still send us into other departments to help out other departments. To me, this is not a huge problem. I don't mind helping out other departments. But I'm already so tired from doing my own job. And then I have to go in and complete someone else's job for the rest of my 10 hours. And so, excuse me, a lot of us rely on overtime. A lot of us are living paycheck to paycheck, bills to bills. And so we really rely on staying overtime past our 10 hours. And we rely on doing overtime on our off days. Now, the issue with this is when we work past 10 hours, we're supposed to be giving a 10-minute paid break. And we were never once notified about that break. Managers didn't even know that this break existed. And so it was a lot of word of mouth and inconsistency. And so just again, why it's such a safety issue is because, my feet are dragging to the time clock, but I've also had friends who do more overtime than me who have left work not only dragging their feet, but also in a near miss. In a car accident on their way home because they were so overworked and so tired from their overtime. So what we want Amazon to do is to give us those breaks. We want those third 10-minute paid breaks after we work 10 hours when we choose to work overtime. And we want Amazon to not take those opportunities of overtime after work away from us.
Correct.
We still want those opportunities to have overtime after 10 hours. It helps a lot for the end of the day. It's visible in our paychecks that the hour after our 10 hours really helps. And so we want those breaks and we want the opportunities for those breaks to be given and we want the opportunities for overtime to stay. We don't want to be retaliated against and have those opportunities taken away from us. And the last thing that we want from Amazon is that back pay that we are not owed, because every time you miss your third 10-minute paid break, you're now owed, according to California labor law, you're owed an hour of your wage. So now there's this huge opportunity for my coworkers and I to receive back pay, and we want Amazon to just acknowledge us and acknowledge this and acknowledge the law.
Congratulations to you. You just articulated that all right on point. Excellent job of explaining, number one, that you're not looking to avoid the overtime, that you don't mind working the overtime. And in big corporations sometimes say, well, fine, then instead of giving you the 10 minutes, we'll just cut the overtime out. Like, no, that's not the answer. The answer is to obviously, let's not be cheapskates here, and let's just make sure they get that extra 10 minutes rest time, because as you said, it's a very demanding, physically demanding job. And it's also required. If you're going to get work over a certain period of time, you're going to click those not just paid breaks but unpaid breaks as well. And so, congratulations to you and kudos to you all for basically coming together and saying, hey, you may be a huge corporation, but we're going to hold you accountable, and you're going to hear our voice, and you're not just going to hear our voice and how we complain. You're also going to hear how we present a solution. So not only did you identify what you'd like to do and how you'd like to respond to it, you've also identified what the future looks like too, and how you propose solving the problem and moving forward, and really just trying to work hard every day and provide for the family. And so is there anything you'd like to say in closing, Cynthia? Big shout out to you. I know everybody listening is going to listen is obviously all rooting for you, and I know if you've been in part of the activities around the San Bernardino Airport there, you've probably met a lot of those that are listening in because the community has come out and widely supported you. But is there anything you want to close on before we move on to the next subject? And again, congratulations to you for bringing everybody together.
Yes, first I just want to say thank you, and thanks for the opportunity. And lastly, I want to say, I guess just once again, we just want Amazon to acknowledge us without retaliating against us. We want the freedom to organize our workplace rights and to come together as Amazon workers. So if you have experienced Amazon, giving you a lot of issues, or you're tired of Amazon disrespecting your workers' rights, follow us on Instagram at IE Amazon Workers United. That's IE Amazon Workers. That's our tag. And happy May Day and free Palestine. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Cynthia. This is KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. It's the Worker Power Hour. We're not going to a break yet, Rick. Normally I do that before we go to a break, but I haven't done the call letters yet. Again, Cynthia, thank you. You're an inspiration. All of you workers out there are an inspiration to other workers, and keep up the hard work. Keep up all the activity and the camaraderie and the collective action, because that is what makes a difference. So shout out to those Amazon workers in San Bernardino doing a great job. I'll rip through some of this last bit of news before we go on to the next section, which is always my favorite, the Teamster Advantage partner. Southwest Airlines flight attendants agree to a new labor contract. So now they claim that they're the highest paid in the industry. So congratulations to them. It looks like it's effective as of May 1st, and they've secured immediate wage increases. Obviously, if anybody who's flied on an airline here recently knows how expensive it is, and they can share the wealth with some of those hardworking people. Another job I wouldn't want to do, I wouldn't want to be a flight attendant. Like the things they got to put up with people. I know every now and then, for those of you that fly, you know what you should do. I try to do this as much as I can remember. Grab a couple Starbucks cards or a couple gift cards, and if they're just like $10 or $15, and hand them to some of the flight attendants. Man, they really appreciate little things like that. I read it somewhere years ago, and I try to do it as often as I can remember. And man, it just shows how much we appreciate the work that they do. IATSE, the below the line workers in their union resumed contract talks. So IATSE and those other unions are working together right now apparently those contract talks are going really smoothly. And we'll continue to root for them as they work through it. Another thing that I'm actually connected to is the Cincinnati Leaders and Labor Expert react to the Amazon union busting trial in Kentucky. The NLRB has accused Amazon of potentially illegal anti-union activities at a facility they call KCVG. It's an air hub in Hebron, Kentucky, and there's an ongoing trial there right now that Amazon's obviously trying to say they didn't do anything wrong, and clearly they did. And there's a very strong group of workers there, just like you see in San Bernardino and all over the country. It's just great to see these workers rising up. The UAW strike at Daimler Truck was averted in the 11th hour. They were able to put together their contract, and congratulations to them. As well as, I don't know, it's not in my list here, but VW workers voted in favor of forming a union a couple weeks ago. Congratulations to them in Tennessee. I look forward to them getting into contract negotiations and moving forward with a good contract. And so with that, we have Megan here. And we have our Teamster Advantage partner. So for those of you that don't know about our Teamster Advantage program, we have more than 1,000 small businesses in our network connected to our more than 30,000 households that we have here in the IE that we send push notifications out and advertise for free to, because it's our way of paying back. We believe small businesses are really in the same space with the working class. And whether you're a worker for a UPS or a city, or you're a small business owner, we're really all in the same bucket, and it's really important for us to try to find places of synergy where we can help each other out. And the Teamster Advantage program is exactly where we do that. So every week we have a show. I try to have a Teamster Advantage partner on here. We have Megan. I'll shut up and let her introduce her business, what they do, and where they're located, and we'll have a great conversation about your great little business. Megan?
Oh, well, thank you. Yeah, so my name is Megan Bonnell, and I am the owner and lead coach at Tantalum Coaching, and we are a life coaching business. So we're helping to fill the gap between where you are and where you want to be in life. So we can hold you accountable, teach you the skills and the tips and the tools that you need to make that possible so that your dreams can come true.
Life coaching.
Life coaching.
What kind of coaching do I need, Megan?
Well, that's what you would have to tell me. We need more than just a few minutes
Too
here.
complicated. Did you see Mark run out the door right now?
Well, you joke about it, but I honestly believe that everybody can use coaching.
Oh, absolutely, everybody.
100%.
I agree with you 100%.
Yep.
I need a lot of it. I can tell you that right now.
Don't we all? Don't we all?
Yeah. So you got any great stories or examples? What city are you located in?
So my business is located in Yucaipa, but one of the benefits of going with Tantalum Coaching is that we will either come to you, or we will do it virtually, or you can come to us. So we go anywhere.
So give me an example of coaching from people that may not know what that means.
Okay, so some of our newest clients, for example, we have somebody who is trying to make a pretty big decision in her life as far as whether or not she wants to have children. And she's been weighing this back and forth, and it's kind of a little bit complicated because of her current situation. So helping her with that decision. We have somebody else that wants to open a business but is a little hesitant, has that fear factor going on. It's a big risk, and so helping them on the business coaching side as well as the life coaching side to see that through. We have another one that's gone through a really big loss. She lost her husband and just hasn't been able to get back up on her feet. We just had a high school student. Those are actually my favorite to work with. We just had a high school student come in just having a difficult time managing those big people emotions that now they have as, teenagers. And so just figuring out how to manage her mind and really use that to serve her instead of self-sabotage herself, because that's what we all tend to do, right?
Yeah.
So there's some examples of what we do.
Great examples. It's like talk about life changing. In other words, you can really adjust someone's trajectory. In other words, they're really struggling with something, not sure how to get over the hump, or how to help make that decision. And from an unbiased perspective, because usually if you go to someone or
Yeah,
right, it's like they're usually telling you what's in their best interest for whatever the story is or the coaching is. And then I was once told many years ago that the one thing you can always count on no one will ever take from you is the advice that you give them.
100%. Right? That's absolutely true.
They'll give advice all day long, but they're not going to take advice from you. Anyway, joking aside, sounds like a very rewarding sort of engagement with people.
Absolutely. And honestly, I think my favorite part of that is you already have everything inside of you that I need. And all I need to do is empower you to flex those muscles that you need to solve the problems that you have. And that's the most beautiful thing, is watching somebody become exactly who it is that they want to be, doing exactly what they want to do, and figuring out it was there all along.
You sound like a union organizer. Do everybody hear that? This is what we've been doing all these years. It's in you. You could do this.
Let's
Take
go.
it on. Let's
That's
go.
right. That's right.
It sounds very intoxicating too. In other words, like you could really, you can really inspire people to take it up a level that they sometimes. This is something I've learned in my job, because it's interesting that this is where I'm connecting to this. I know it sounds like I'm jumbling around here, but this is where my longtime organizer, first time radio show host stuff comes in. Anyway, is sometimes you believe more in somebody than they believe in themselves.
Every time.
And for me as a leader, that's one of the things I struggle with the most, is helping work somebody through what you can see they're capable of.
Yep.
But for whatever reason, self-doubt and those other obstacles start to come in. So I'm imagining you deal with that.
Absolutely. All the time, I paint a very vivid picture of who it is that they want to be, what it is that they want to do, and really get that clear in their mind and teach them how to act as if. Because that person does exist. That person isn't fake. That's not false. It's just not here yet. But you can act as if, and you get there before you even know it.
Wow.
Absolutely.
This is great. So the Teamster Advantage program, I think you're one of the newer ones, correct?
Yes.
One of the newer ones. So what do you think of our program?
I love it. I mean, I don't want to get kicked off the show right now, but I didn't even know about it until 4 weeks ago. Talked about
That's
it at
all
a
right.
meeting
Mark won't get in
super quick.
trouble.
Okay, no, talked about it at a meeting super quick with Mark, and then I went home and looked into it. It's impressive. I can't believe that I didn't know about it. I kind of feel like my head was under a rock, to tell you the truth.
That's okay. Just tell more people about it.
100%. I do all the time.
And here's the crazy part is, we always get people to look at us with one eye going, you don't charge for this?
Right? That's what
no,
I
we
said.
don't.
Did I use one eye? I don't know if I used one eye, but that's what I
You
said
did
too.
use one eye. I'm just kidding. Yeah, but it's fun because our members, I always love the stories of our members calling and saying, I went to this place to eat, I used this service, I bought this vehicle, I got this. And I'm talking great stories. One to where there was this really cool story where on a Friday, we had somebody that did their entire evening with their family through the Teamster Advantage partnership. They went to movies. First of all, they went to a restaurant, went and ate, went to the movies, and then went and had like a dessert, and then I forget they did one last thing. There was like 4 different things. And when it was all said and done, it was a family of 5 that they had saved, like it was like $160 that evening by using the network itself.
What a way to be appreciated for what you do, to really being acknowledged for what you do by getting these partnerships that are willing to give you discounts and help you enjoy your family even. I mean, I think that's amazing. What a fun story that is.
It's a lot. It's a lot of fun to do that. And obviously this new connection that we have here is I can't wait to hear somebody come on the show, or a lot of times I bump into them, somewhere in the membership, and they'll be like, hey, I utilized the service and it was amazing and da-da-da. And I always tell them, oh, call so-and-so and let's get that in writing somewhere, whether that happens or not, sometimes usually different.
Right.
But just hearing the story itself means that running this program has got such a huge benefit. And the great thing for the small businesses is you got nothing to lose with it. Literally.
No, not at all. And what a great partnership to have. I think if I could offer services to anybody, I mean, the people that are a part of our Teamster team, your Teamster team, I raise my hand. I pick me. Yeah, absolutely.
So what's the discount you offer Teamsters? And we're going to go to a break here in about 60 seconds or so, Rick, just to let you know.
Well, it's funny that you say that because I was actually going to talk to Mark at our meeting on tomorrow to how I increase it, because I think I put it in at 15%. And then I did some research on what Teamsters was, and I was like, no, 25 it is. All day long.
Nice. Did you hear
All day
that?
long.
Mention the show. It's 25% if you call in and you utilize the services. So
Absolutely.
25%. How do you beat that? You got to be a Teamster, right? You got to be a Teamster. We love this
100%.
network. Anything you want to close on, Megan, before we wrap this thing up?
I
Go to
mean,
a commercial break.
Just the life coach in me, I want to say thank you for doing exactly what it is that you do, and we support you and love you, and I hope that you know that we believe in you so much, and you're as amazing as you could be. And if you ever need help believing that, that's what I'm here for.
Thank you, Megan.
You're so welcome.
This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. See you on the other side of the break.
Okay, let me break in here. We have some breaking news here. We've got a magnitude 4.1 earthquake struck in Corona in Riverside County about 1:49 today. No injuries reported and everything. It was originally as a 4.5, was quickly downloaded. It was centered 5.6 miles southwest of Corona. So that's your latest news from KCAA. Keep it tuned here, and we'll bring you more updates.
One of the best ways to build a healthier local economy is by shopping locally. Teamster Advantage is a shop local program started by Teamster Local 1932 that has brought together hundreds of locally owned businesses to provide discounts for residents who make shopping locally their priority. Everything from restaurants like Corky's to fun times at SB Raceway and much, much more. If you're not currently a Teamster and you want access to these local business discounts, contact Jennifer at 909-889-8377, extension 224. Give her a call. That number again is 909-889-8377, extension 224. Are you looking for a good union job? The Inland Empire's 14,000 members strong Teamsters Local 1932 has opened a training center to get working people trained and placed in open positions in public service clerical work and in jobs in the logistics industry. This is a new opportunity to advance your career and raise standards across the region. Visit 1932trainingcenter.org to enroll today. That's 1932trainingcenter.org.
Welcome back to the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan. We have a couple special guests that are going to be Skyping in here in a moment, if they're not already on. I guess Rick says they're connected. And they are some of my favorite people that do these incredibly difficult jobs. They are nurses and techs out of Rady's Children's Hospital down in San Diego County and up into the southern part of the Inland Empire. There's a couple small locations, even a little bit north of San Diego County. But with that, I think we do have them on the line. If you're on the line, can you just quickly introduce yourself so we can get this part of the show started?
Yeah, Randy, can you hear us?
Yeah, we can hear you. Is that Katie?
here. Yes, Randy, it's Katie. So my name is Katie Langenstrass. I'm the principal officer down here at Local 1699, and I'm also a nurse on 3 East at Rady Children's Hospital. And I have Lisa here with me. She can introduce herself.
Hi, Randy. So I am Lisa de Guzman. I am the nursing director for our local, and have been a nurse for pediatric intensive care nurse for a very long time at Rady Children's Hospital, 24 years, a nurse in general for 40. And I'm glad that we could join you guys today.
You two are part of a team of people that are the most amazing people on the planet, because at the end of the day, you save the babies. Like, you literally do. Like, everybody talks about how great they are. There's nobody greater than you. And, you know, we really appreciate the work that you do there at Rady Children's Hospital. You literally are the lifesavers of children in need. Can you describe a little bit about some of the things that, Katie, you and Lisa run into in this incredibly important profession?
I mean, there's just so much, right? There's, of course, what everybody thinks of when they hear nursing is like, you know, we are saving lives. You know, part of our board is on the CHET team. We have a PICU CHET team and a NICU CHET team that go out into the field and pick up critically ill kids. We see kids in our ICU, anything, you know, from the flu to COVID to, you know, unfortunately in the summer we see drownings, other kinds of accidents, all the way down. You know, I work on a surgical floor, so I see a lot of kids, you know, there just for like elective surgeries. We have a small rehabilitation unit where kids who've had brain injuries come, and, you know, we teach the parents how to take care of them in their new normal at home, all the way down to the people in our outpatient clinics who are doing all of our follow-up visits. It's just, we see such a wide range. And everybody just does such a great job. Both the nurses, the techs, you know, EVS, the doctors. It's just really an amazing place to work.
You know, you ladies and some gentlemen, because I think you're mostly women that do all this hard work, right?
Well, the ones doing the hardest work, right?
Yes. You ladies do just a phenomenal job. Obviously, we've known each other for a while, for you know, what's been 7, 8, 9 years now. And, you know, really appreciate the relationship we've had over the years. And I've always admired your work from afar, because you're not just the principal officer and officials within the union. You also still do the work in the craft. And that is an incredible balance for you. And with that, I want to just quickly move into the fact that one of the reasons you're on the show is you guys have a contract that's expiring, and you're currently about to engage in bargaining right now. Isn't that correct?
Yeah, so actually our first day sitting down with the hospital is tomorrow, May 2nd. So we, as, you know, UNOC and our members have been prepping and getting ready, and, you know, with our legal team, have been getting prepared to go in, and we sit down with them for the first time tomorrow. And I think you pointed out something very particular about our local, is that we all still do the work. So we're in there negotiating this contract, and it's, you know, it's Lisa and mine raise as well. It's our health benefits, it's our retirement, it's how we float, it's the amount of weekends we have to work. So there really is this kind of unique relationship where we are the members as well. So I think that makes us unique and stands out. And we're also very acutely aware of the issues of, you know, what happens when there's poor staffing. You know, we're the ones working on the units when they're there. We're, you know, our coworkers are our friends, have become our family. We spend 12 hours, you know, multiple times a week with them. So I really think it is a very different perspective when you're in the facility doing the job kind of day in and literally day out, you know.
Yeah, there's very little rest for the weary, especially, right?
Yeah, that's.
Hey, I got a question for you.
Katie's day shift, and I am 12-hour night shift.
So we're.
Do you like the nights?
You're not in the building. Yeah.
Lisa, do you choose to be on nights? Is that a preferred shift for you? Because some people like that shift.
Yeah, I honestly, I've been night shift for 39 years.
Oh, you're just in. It's you. That's just yours. Yeah.
Yeah, it just works for my my schedule. Less management there. Less bosses, less management.
Hey, that's a good way to look at it.
Yeah,
right.
You get to spend more time actually, because I'm in the intensive care. You know, it's a very intensive area to work, And you get to spend, I feel, more time with the families and with the patients, and taking that instead of all the other
administrative stuff. Yeah.
Administrative stuff. Exactly.
Yeah. Night shift is always a fun shift to work. It's always a really fun group.
Did you guys throw parties or something, or what?
8 straight years. It was some of the best years of my nursing career, but it takes a toll on your body. It really does.
That's tough.
But it's always a fun group. It's a fun group that's attracted to night shift.
Yeah, and it's good. It's always good to see the groups that like night shift for that reason. That the funny one is always, I don't like my spouse, so I work nights.
That's only partially true.
Yeah.
I've heard that many times over my career. I work nights.
I liked him less sleep deprived, so I had to go to days. No.
Exactly. So, real quick, something I happened to be down there and talk to you guys. I think it was yesterday, and the interesting thing is you work in healthcare, and is your actual healthcare affordable?
I would say it is not. Especially when you look at the other hospitals kind of in the community. In San Diego, we're dealing with Sharp, Scripps, Kaiser, UCSD, these big networks, and they're providing very cheap to free healthcare for most of their employees. And that is something we unfortunately do not see with Rady Children's Hospital.
And you're in a very specialized profession. You're not just in an important profession on top of it, then you're specialized on top of that because you're dealing with pediatrics, you're dealing with children, and it's ironic and kind of hypocritical that you're in a potential situation where you don't feel as if your healthcare is affordable, but you are actually a healthcare provider yourself. Is that something that resonates with the rest of the workforce?
Absolutely.
Yeah. I definitely think it does. Especially a lot of the members have children, and it's crazy to think that we're taking our kids to be treated by our coworkers, and we're paying, astronomical premiums and, ED visits. Like, we're paying the same price as the community, and
Upfront
we're
deductible.
the ones providing the care. It's it's nonsensical.
Yeah, it's nuts. It just doesn't really make a lot of sense. What are some of the other issues that you can talk about? Because I'm assuming what you're going to do with this podcast afterwards is take it and share it with one another as a way to help communicate the issues among your peers. What are some of those issues that you would like to share for all the people that are going to listen to it in the future that you will be addressing in bargaining?
The big one that's come up, especially in the last 3 years, has been retention. So kind of our motto for these negotiations is keep your core in 2024. And what we see a lot, I know a lot of industries see it too, is this idea of contract workers. And there's always been what we refer to as travel nurses, right? They come in for 3 months, do a contract. Sometimes they extend, sometimes they leave. We saw this field just skyrocket during COVID. The pay rates for these travel nurses were astronomical, and that's kind of continued. And Rady's lost some nurses over COVID. Some nurses have retired, nurses left to work for other organizations. Some just unfortunately left the profession in general. And instead of retaining staff and trying to recruit new core nurses, Rady's has really relied upon these travel nurses to cover the gaps. And, a lot of these travel nurses are great. It's always good to have new people in the organization. They give us ideas. They tell us what's working versus what they've seen at other hospitals. They tell us what's not working. But the safest possible thing for the patients is to have a core group of nurses there that know the facility, that know the population, that are connected to the community. And unfortunately, the travelers just aren't here long enough to do that. And it's just this constant in and out of bodies that need to be retrained. And kind of our big focus is we want to be able to recruit core nurses and then keep them.
Having a consistent core of workforce is beneficial to all. Like this, whether you're in nursing or any other job. And it's interesting to see how, corporate America, hospitals, all of them, because obviously we represent a couple thousand members at ARMC, and we see this leaning towards a contingent workforce, and in some ways putting so much money in the cost of that contingent workforce, and actually inflating how much you're going to pay them to, those institutions moving into that space, that it actually becomes a disincentive for the consistency and those that are staying and being consistent. And so there's a bit of a culture war happening within organizations on the contingent turnover stuff versus the consistent core employment group of workers, a group that's going to be there day in and day out, like you said. And it sounds to me, like this is an issue that not only is drilling down on you and your industry as a whole, but it's going to be maybe a contentious point at the bargaining table. Are you guys doing things to prepare for that you want to talk about?
We're kind of just getting the membership kind of ready for a different scenario than we usually, go through. We're asking them to be a little bit more engaged this time, and kind of show up to some action items, reach out to the hospital themselves. We're just looking for a lot more member engagement. We are expecting a lot more from Radies than we ever have before. I think they know that. I hope they know that. And so, the members are really getting involved, and we've asked them to get involved, and they have been. They've been showing up more to meetings. They're giving us contracts from all over the country, and we're working more in tandem with them than we normally do.
The other thing I saw yesterday when I was down there is you got a bunch of small businesses in the area that are putting signs up in support of you. Tell us about that.
The community is so supportive of the nurses that are there. We have signs up, and we're expanding where they are, but we currently have signs up in restaurants and businesses around Rady Children's Hospital. We're encouraging our members go take pictures in front of some of these establishments, show their support. Can I do a quick little shout out to some of them, Randy?
Absolutely. Go ahead and put their,
We have, so these are just the ones around Rady Children's Hospitals. We have Lupe's Mexican Eatery, K Sandwiches, California Burritos, my personal favorite, Payday Advance, Buffalo Wing Star, Love Scrubs, Milk Tea Lab, Mesa Pizza, Salvadorian Cuisine, Pokemate, and a whole bunch more. So, we're really excited about this support we're getting with the community. And, these restaurants and businesses very willingly, without much persuasion, allowed us to hang up the signs. They told us good luck. They shared stories with us of, bringing their kids to Rady's and what good care they received. So it was actually very heartwarming to kind of go out in the community and get this done, because you really do realize you do have a lot of support.
Yeah, what was cool yesterday when I was down there, I heard other businesses wanted to join in and help, and you guys are actually in the process of expanding that, so there's even more support. You also have some elected leaders that are looking to potentially sign on and send letters to Rady's saying, hey, you need to do right by these work groups. Those are some of the other things that are going on right now, right?
Yes, yeah. Those are all in the works.
So tell us a funny story. Like, obviously you guys have got to have, some incredible stories, but tell us a funny story that happened at work. I mean.
Okay, Randy, we were trying to brainstorm this. I have to start by saying I was.
But you can't cuss. Remember, we had this conversation yesterday. You're not allowed to use foul language.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you told me I couldn't use foul language.
Never. We work at a children's hospital. Never.
And I feel like it was kind of hard to try to come up with something, because I feel like nurses, probably even pediatric nurses, we have a very dark sense of humor. So I think a lot of the stuff we would find funny. I don't know if the general public would.
Take a shot at us.
What we have to do to survive in this field, right? I think a lot of industries are like that. Sometimes when you see hard things, you have to develop a sense of humor as a coping mechanism.
Correct. Yes.
So some of the stories I'll spare you, but the one that did come to mind, and I'm going to do a shout out to Chrissy Fox, who chose to work instead of coming here today, who told me not to tell this story.
She's not here to stop us.
She's not here to stop me. So this is this is a dumb little story, but this is the first thing I thought of when we were talking about funny stories. Years ago, when I was on night shift, we had a patient who had injured herself at a gymnastics practice, came in, had surgery to fix the injury, and, was sleeping. Her and her dad called out in the middle of the night, and they wanted help going to the bathroom. So I go in there. I don't put gloves on, So shout out, always wear your PPE because you never know what you're going to encounter, but I do not put gloves on. I'm thinking this is a standby assist. She gets out of bed and I see a little, what I think is a ponytail holder in her bed. So I barehanded pick up 2 little ponytail holders and we start walking to the bathroom and I tell her, okay, sweetie, if you want help getting your hair back up after you're done, I can help you put your hair back up in ponies. And she goes, my hair wasn't in ponytails. And then we get into the light of the bathroom and I could just say these wound up little black things were not ponytail holders.
Oh boy.
Yes. And the dad quickly took over. I didn't want to embarrass her, so we disposed of it. But that was, I don't know if that's what you wanted, Randy, but that's the first story I thought of.
We'll find out whether or not listeners enjoyed it.
Chrissy Fox better be out there listening and enjoying it. That's all I have to say.
Okay, there you go. Anything else you'd like to share with anybody? I think we got about 6 minutes, 5 minutes left in the show. Got 4 minutes according to Rick. So anything you'd like to close on as far as, first of all, we'd love to have you back in person. I know that we tried to do it in person, ran into a couple challenges with that, but we'd like to have you back in person maybe towards the end of the month or something, and tell your story a little more about how your bargaining is going. Anything you want to close on with this last 3 minutes?
I just want to say, there's always, sometimes a contentious relationship between the employer and the union. Like I said before, I think we're in a unique position because we work there. And I think it's also unique. We think Rady's is a great place. That's why we work there. We all have kids. We bring our kids there. I just think the difference in kind of what we see and what maybe the executives or the board of directors sees when they look at the hospital is what makes it great is the nurses, is the techs, is EVS, all the way down to the doctors. It is the people in that building. And we go into these negotiations not to try to stick it to Rady's or, because we're greedy. It's because we care about that hospital and we care about the community we serve. We're doing this for the kids and for the families. And we just want to make sure that our voice is heard and that the hospital is really seeing our value. We want to be in agreement that what makes Rady's great is the frontline staff. And I think for the most part, we're in agreement, but sometimes, every employer needs a little bit of help, I'm sure, as you've seen. And I just think in nursing, sometimes unions, healthcare in general, unions are so important because by nature, we're a little bit bleeding hearts or we wouldn't be in these careers. And I think, unfortunately, sometimes that's taken advantage of. We will work the overtime. We will pick up the short shifts because we feel a camaraderie with our coworkers because we know it may be our neighbor's kid who's in the hospital and needs the care that day. And I just think we are so intertwined in this that, we just want to walk in there and for Rady's to recognize and really see our worth and the hard work we have put in, especially in the last 3 years since our last negotiations.
Well, thank you, Katie and Lisa. I got just 2 minutes. Got to wrap up the last part of my show. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks,
really,
Randy, for having us on.
That I couldn't recap an explanation of your job any better than you just did, Katie. That's why you're the leader of that organization.
That's why she's the boss.
That's why she's the boss, right? And to close, we really appreciate the work that you do. Thanks for coming on, telling your story. Hopefully you can come back on in a couple of weeks so we can find out the progress as to where you're at. With that, let's get a big shout out to the Rady's Children's Hospital there and the nurses there, Katie and Lisa, on this line today. And with that, we'll wrap it up. This is the Worker Power Hour with Randy Corrigan, a longtime organizer, first-time radio host. What we're doing is we're building worker power in the IE. And you see our buses, you see our billboards, you see this awareness on all the jobs in which our members do. Teamsters down at Rady's Children's Hospital in San Diego. You just heard from them live on the air right now at how important Teamsters are to our community and how much we need to respect these jobs. And what does worker power mean to you? Making sure that you talk about how you can build worker power. Talk to your family. Talk to your friends. Talk to your neighbors. This is longtime organizer, first-time radio host, Randy Corrigan, Worker Power Hour, KCAA 106.5 FM, 1050 AM. Signing off.
Are you looking for a good union job? The Inland Empire's 14,000-member-strong Teamsters Local 1932 has opened a training center to get working people trained and placed in open positions in public service clerical work and in jobs in the logistics industry. This is a new opportunity to advance your career and raise standards across the region. Visit 1932trainingcenter.org to enroll today. That's 1932trainingcenter.org.
NBC News on KCAA Loma Linda, sponsored by Teamsters Local 1932, protecting the future of working families. Teamsters 1932.org.
NBC News Radio, I'm Lisa Taylor. Student pro-Palestinian protesters at Fordham University in New York are now suspended. Kristen Marks reports.
The students involved in an encampment at the university's Lincoln Center campus were handed suspension letters that say they're all